Hey everybody. In lesson 5 we're going to learn about creating procedures for result sets. Basically our service program is going to have our service program is basically going to have a procedure to open, fetch the next, and close after that. So pretty straightforward. There are multiple ways we could do this. Some people like to do a group fetch. So, for example, fetch 50 rows at a time, which is good for performance. But in this case, we are going to just fetch one at a time because these tables are quite small. Um, and that's okay. So this is the table we're going to use. It's called department. It does actually have some null columns, null possible columns, and we'll have to add some code in to handle that. And I will talk about that while we're developing the code. This is the data that we have. Pretty straightforward. So what we're going to do, or actually, should we use we used act. Why don't we could use project act? Act, no, yeah, we could use this one. Hmm, maybe, I'm undecided. I think we'll just use department. Yeah, we'll just use department. So, very first thing we're going to do is create a new procedure. Actually, that's a very big lie. The very first thing we're going to do is create a new data structure for our department. So let's go ahead and write declare ds, and then we'll call it department t qualified template, and then we'll just stick an NDS on there, of course. Now, this is a really simple structure. So we have number, which is actually is a character free, department, a name, manager number, ADMR. Admin department? Interesting. ADMR department. I'm guessing admin department. Anyway, I'm not sure. And then location. This is an issue. Classic. Oh, okay, here we go. The department to which this department reports to. Okay, so it's the parent department and then location. So really simple. They're all character fields, which is really nice. I guess really simple to write for. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, we have the number, which is just character free. And then we have the name, which is varchar 36. And then we have the manager number, which is a character free. Then we six. Then we have the parent department. I'm going to put that as parent department, character free. That's a reference column. And then we have location, sorry, obviously, location, which is character 16. So I would like to add some comments to this table, just to say that nullable is that these are nullable from the table, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so that's our department structure. So now let's go ahead and write some code. Declare procedure. And of course, there are a few things that we need to do because we need one to open the list, one to fetch the next result, and then one to close the list. So let's do this. Let's say declare proc department open export declare nproc. And of course, this is a nice and simple one because it doesn't actually return anything. I suppose it could. It could return an indicator, and that will actually indicate whether it was successfully opened or not. And then for that, we're just going to do exec SQL declare. How do you do the declare? This is a syntax I'd never remember. Declare. Is it the name? Depth cursor for, not from, for. No, please. There we go. Select, and then of course we'll do the individual column names. Depth no. Depth name. Manager no. Parent department. and then location. I'll type that one. From department. And then exec SQL open deptchar. And then the last piece is return SQL state equals 00000. So that means successful. That means it was open just fine. That actually compiled very quickly. Nice. All right. So there's our cursor. And then we need to do the fetch, obviously. So we're going to declare a new procedure. Department fetch next. Export. And then this one is going to return department fetch next, and it's going to return a like ds department t npi. Doesn't well, actually it doesn't have any parameters, does it? Say that's fairly simple. And then let's do. I'm just thinking here. We need to declare a ds returning department. These could be shorter names, of course, but for the sake of making it obvious, department T. It is department T, isn't it? Yep, it is. Very cool. Department T, and then we're going to say exec SQL fetch next from. Is it? It's just fetch from. I think we don't need next. Next is optional. From deptchar into. And then, of course, we have to list the columns. So it's going to be returning department dot number, returning department dot name, name, and then returning department dot manager number, and then it's going to be returning department dot parent department, and then it's going to be returning department dot location. Now that's pretty much it. And then of course return what am I thinking here? Return. This is my mind is blank. It's right there, but my mind is blank for some reason. So that will fetch the next one. Now, what's interesting about this is that, of course, we have no columns to worry about. Now, I hate null indicators. They are just, the fact that you can have. I mean, I get it, but I hate them. I hate their implementation. I don't like that there's a separate variable to determine whether a variable is null or not. So what I like to do is you could use coalesce, but I'm just going to use if null, and the first parameter of if null is the value. And if it's null, then we're going to return -1. And then we'll do the same for location. These are the two null columns, and for a null column, I just return a dash. So fairly simple. Now, we need to know a way to get the state. So what we're going to do is we're going to say declare proc. This is quite a generic one, so we'll put it up here, and we'll call it. We'll just call it SQL is okay. Now we need it in this module. I suppose we shouldn't call it that. We should call it data is okay, because this is module specific. Data is okay. No, let's just call it department is okay. Export and proc. And what this is going to return, department is okay, it's going to return an indicator. And then all it's going to do is return SQL state equals 00000. And that's pretty much it. Easy peasy. So now the last piece we need is declare procedure department. Instead of open, close. And of course it is export. And does it have any parameters? It doesn't have any parameters, but we will just put the old classic department close in there, like so. And then we'll just say exec SQL close dept cur. Love it. Compile. Let's try and compile it. Compile successfully. Now I'm going to do a couple more bits here to clean it up. Just going to add some comments between the functions because it's kind of hard to differentiate them. Just makes it just that little bit easier. Cool. So now we need to update the prototype, the header file, because we need to include our new functions here. So I'm just going to do a little trick that I like to use. I'm just going to go ahead and copy the PIs from all of my functions here, like so. Fairly simple trick that I like to do. And then I'm just going to replace all the PIs with a PR. And then also just add extproc on the end of all of them. Love it. Boom. And then we just try and compile it again. Make sure that's all good. Yep, we're all good there. So now we have a set of new procedures. So let's go ahead and create our service program. Now we could have updated it to make to keep our get activity lesson 4 working, but I just compiled it. So now I'm going to create lesson 5.rpgle. This is lesson 5, right? Yes, it is. Very good. So lesson 5. Let's do a star free, of course. And then we're going to say, you know what? Let's just copy some out of lesson 4. Department. Let's give it a better name. Current dept, like DS. Department T. And that's really the first thing. And then we can just say if department open, and then we can, if it opens successfully, we can say while, it's not while, is it? Do until not department is okay. Probably could have given that a better name, but that's okay. And do. And then we can say current dept equals department dot fetch next. It's not even a department dot fetch. I wish it was a dot, but it's not. So in fact, let's do this. Yep. Although I think the do. Let's do while. That will fetch it if it works. And then do while. Yep, there we go. Maybe what I had was fine, but I'm just going to do it to be this way to be safe. And I'm going to say display current dept, and I'm just going to say current do a trim right. Current dept dot name. Save. Now, of course, it could be a lot more complex. Your department open could do a really complex SQL and return back a specific result set. That's okay too. So let's go ahead and create this program in hopes that it works. It did work. I'm not surprised. I am actually surprised. So let's go ahead and start debug lesson 5. And let's just stick a breakpoint on there. Call lesson 5. So it's okay. Current department fetch next. Nice, we have one. That's great. Display. Cool. So let's go display job log. Nice, that is great. So let's have a look at our result set here. This is the wrong page. Department. The last one was branch office 2. So because we've got it in debug, it's going to print out all that SQL information too. So let's just call it display job log. Oh, geez. You know what we forgot to do? Close the cursor, folks. And if it opens, department, close. Silly me. That was embarrassing, wasn't it? Let's go ahead and compile that again. And QILE. Yeah, I guess. So let's end the debug and let's start it again. Oh no, we don't even want to end the debug. Just want to call it. Disk job log. There we go. We have all of our current departments, starting with Spiffy Computer Service Div, ending with Branch Office J2. So now we have a way to fetch groups of data using embedded SQL, using a fetch next mechanism, and it works really well, which is really cool. And that's pretty much it for this video, I think. The next one is about calling programs from SQL and getting actually data sets back, which is really cool. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.